Hello everyone, I'm Francesca. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so excited because we are starting our summer season today, kicking it off with 3 amazing strawberry recipes. This season is filled with yummy recipes with fruits, veggies, perfect for barbecuing, perfect for grilling, and of course, lots of delicious desserts. As always, the ingredients are written out in the description box, and there are links to the blog post for the full recipes, printable versions, and anything I think you may need is linked down below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let's get into it. First, we're starting off with strawberry crumble. This is so easy to make, a great summer dessert. You're going to start by just thinly slicing up your strawberries. You can chop them if you like, but then it just becomes really small. I like to thinly slice them instead, makes it a little bit quicker. And I love a crumble because it's kind of like a coffee cake on top. Then we're going to add some vanilla extract, all-purpose flour, and organic sugar to our strawberries and mix it up. This is going to help make a nice base and sort of filling for our crumble. And it's funny because like there's a crumble, there's a crisp, there's a cobbler. Crumble's definitely my favorite. I just love that topping on there. So just mix everything up, set it to the side for a second. We don't need to worry about this right now. So we have our all-purpose flour here. If you're gluten-free, just sub it in for gluten-free all-purpose flour. And then I'm going to add in my organic brown sugar and vegan butter. I like to kind of scoop it in, makes it nice to make those crumbles with, because bigger clumps in your crumble will make better crumbly pieces, you know what I mean? So I start with like my spoon and I just kind of like cut into the flour and the brown sugar at first, and then I'll get in there with my hands and make sure they're nice clean hands. I was just eating this by myself, honestly. So once it looks something like this, but I'd like to have those big butter clumps in there, we are good to go. I'm going to pour this over top of our strawberries. Very, very easy. And I just love this dessert. It just always comes out so beautiful, so yummy. It's great on its own. It's great with vegan ice cream or like Cocoa Whip. And the strawberries right now just cannot be beat. They're so delicious. So you're just going to pop this in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes. To make a little icing, I'm just taking some organic powdered sugar, mixing it with water, mix it up until it reaches a consistency that you like, and that's pretty much it. This is optional, but it always adds a nice little touch on top. I love a drizzle like this. Once it's all done, let it cool for like a good half hour before you try to scoop into it, because it's just going to be super wet inside, but it looks beautiful. It's super crumbly and crispy on top. The strawberries turn a bright red. I mean, look at how stunning that is. Absolutely beautiful. I don't know, I love it because it's just an easy dessert and it's great. If you're not like a great baker or you're not that good at baking, trust me, you can make this. Anybody can make this, okay? I promise. So now I'm gonna drizzle my glaze that we made over top, and you could stop there. It looks delicious. I'm going to add some edible flowers on there because I just wanted to make this look extra fancy and fun, and do some powdered sugar. But again, do however much garnish as you like. Give a nice big scoop, and now you can enjoy. And it is so incredibly delicious. You're going to love it. Our next recipe is a strawberry panzanella. This is a very non-traditional panzanella salad, but it is so good. So you're going to start by taking 1 loaf of stale bread. This was like a semolina seeded roll. So I just cut it up into pieces, and then I'm going to cut it up into cubes. And you want to use stale bread for this. And I'm actually even going to go a step further and toast it up in a second. The bread is what makes a panzanella salad. There is no lettuce in this salad. And I am just going to pop everything onto the pan and pop that in the oven at like 350 for like 10 minutes just to really toast those bread cubes up. And I thought a strawberry panzanella would just be fun for summer. Making an easy dressing with just some balsamic vinegar, balsamic glaze, olive oil, and some salt to taste. And that's it. Just mix it up. And this is the easiest, most delicious, in my opinion, dressing. It's always a classic. And there you go. Set that to the side. Once our little bread cubes are done toasting, then you can go ahead and start to get ready for everything else. So I'm going to cut up my strawberries. I'm just going to cut these in like halves or thirds, depending on how big the strawberry is. If it's a bigger one, we'll cut it into thirds. If it's a smaller one, we'll cut it in half. Just whatever you kind of think is good here. I wanted to add in another fruit, and I thought mango would be really fun, but I also think peaches and nectarines or apricots would be delicious. So I just sliced the mango away from the pit, got the flesh off, and I'm going to cut cubes with a really sharp knife, and then I'll scoop them out. I don't know, I still haven't mastered cutting a mango properly yet. Like, I'm getting there, but it doesn't always come out like as nice as I would want it to. So I need to work on it. But once it looks something like this, that's all you got to do. And I actually even went a step further and just like cut the cubes up a little bit more, because like it does stick obviously to the skin, and just cut as much mango out as you can. I'll even like cut off the sides of the mango and get those like little thin rectangles over there. And yeah, I love mango, and mangoes and strawberry together are so delicious. So it's such a good combo. But again, sub in any fruit that you like. So into a nice big bowl, we're going to add in those toasted bread cubes. We're going to add in our beautiful strawberries. Look at how gorgeous those are. Cannellini beans for some added fiber and protein. Our mangoes. And I'm adding some pickled red onions. You could just use red onions if you like, but I had pickled red onions and I love them. And they're great. And then some microgreens. We're going to add our dressing on top and give this a nice big mix. And this is so yummy. The bread soaks up all that delicious dressing that we've made, and it pairs really well with the sweetness of the strawberries and the mango, the tanginess of the pickled red onions. The cannellini beans are just kind of like hanging out in there. If you want to swap those for chickpeas or something as well, that would be great. And then once it's all mixed up and well incorporated, I'm just going to plate it up. Very simple, very easy. This is great as like a main dish or a side dish. If you make it as like a main dish, I would definitely add some extra protein in there. Garnish with a little extra microgreens. I did some extra, a little bit of sea salt on top and the dressing. And that's it. Now you have this beautiful summer salad. I mean, how stunning is that? And while this is not a traditional panzanella salad, it does play on the traditional elements with the heavy balsamic vinegar, the bread, the onions, and this is so yummy. Really, it's only best when eaten fresh, and you need to try it. You're gonna love it. It's so good, so great for summer. For our last recipe, we're making strawberry focaccia. I'm so excited. So we're going to use bread flour for this because it has a higher protein content than all-purpose flour, so it works great for making bread, obviously, hence the name. We're going to add 1 packet of instant yeast. I personally love instant yeast because there's no rise time with it, but if you want to use active dry yeast, you can. Going to add in some salt, sugar, and I'm just using my hands. We're going to mix that up, and then we're going to add in our wet ingredients. So we're adding in olive oil. I opted for using light olive oil in this recipe, and then we're going to slowly add in the water. I always just like to add in those wet ingredients slowly because, you know, baking is truly dependent on like the weather, the humidity, the temperature. So I just always like to add it in slowly. And then we're going to use our hands and we're going to knead it. If you want to make this in a dough hook attachment, you definitely could, like if you want to use a stand mixer, but this one's pretty easy to knead by hand. So once it looks like this, we're going to add a little extra oil just to coat it, and then you're going to cover it with a dish towel and let it proof for about an hour or until it's doubled in size. I like to pop mine in the oven with the light, and the oven is completely turned off. After an hour, it's going to look like this. You could see how much it is rose up. Looks beautiful. And of course, I got to punch it because I just can't help myself. I love to punch freshly risen dough. Gonna take a 9 by 9 inch baking dish, put a nice glug of oil down there, and spread the dough out and get some nice dimpling in there with my knuckles. A 9 by 9 inch baking dish is gonna make you extra thick focaccia, which I love. If you want it to be thinner, use a 9 by 11 or a 9 by 13. Cover proof again for an hour. We're gonna make a maple balsamic glaze, so I'm just actually combining balsamic glaze and maple syrup and a little water. We're going to brush this on top to add a little extra sweetness to our focaccia and mix it up. You still want it to be a thick consistency because you want to be able to brush this on. So something like that is perfect. Okay, look at this. Oh my goodness. That is risen perfectly. It's so soft and fluffy. I have to touch it. Like, I can't help myself. Like, look at all that. So I'm going to take another little bit of oil and just kind of scoot around the sides just to make sure that this doesn't stick, because I will be sad if my focaccia sticks. And don't worry if it deflates a little bit. It's okay. Then I'm going to add that maple balsamic glaze that we made over top and get it in those like nice dimple marks. You know, you want to have like these little baked in pools of this balsamic glaze. So delicious. And now you're going to start to layer on your strawberries. I tried to make it look fancy. I don't know. I just kind of went wild. Just add your strawberries on however you like. And then I'm going to brush a little bit more of that maple balsamic glaze on top. We're popping this in the oven. All the baking instructions are on the blog. And when it comes out, it's going to look like this. And how beautiful. Oh my goodness, it's stunning. I love it. It's crispy on top. Everything is baked. Those strawberries get a little bit roasted. I let it cool for like 5-10 minutes, and then I'm going to immediately remove it from the pan because I don't want it to cool too much that it like will almost stick. So pop it onto a wire baking rack and let it cool. And then once it's cooled after about like a half hour, then I'm going to cut into it. And I mean, come on, how beautiful is this with those strawberries and the maple glaze and the balsamic, and oh, it's gorgeous. I'm going to add fresh basil on top, and I added some sea salt, and now I'm just cutting it open, which is always the best part. You can really cut this into however many pieces as you like. I think 12 pieces would be great. And look at that fluffy inside. The bread flour really makes a difference here, so I highly suggest using the bread flour if you can. You can use all purpose, it'll work fine, but the bread flour does make a nicer, fluffier dough. And I was so impressed with how this turned out, and I was so happy, and you need to try this one. I think this would be so fun for like summer gatherings, barbecues, parties, hanging out with friends, like showing up with a strawberry focaccia, because it's so unique, like who is eating this, but I love it. It's amazing. You have to try it. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with the next recipe in our summer season. Bye.